Our third collaborative intent is distributing work or risk, in other words, leveraging crowds or crowdsourcing. What I'm going to do is start with two business scenarios, and then I'll follow up with engineers' applications and features that would support similar business scenarios. So first I'm going to start with a scenario from Mervis Diamond Importers, which is a small jewelry chain in the Washington, D.C. area. And its owner, Jonathan Mervis, decided that for $500 he was going to hire a marketing firm that leveraged crowdsourcing. And what he was wanting to do was get one-line ads for the front page of The Onion, which is an online satirical newspaper. So Jonathan Mervis received over 500 responses, and he said he never would have gotten those results with a typical ad agency, especially for that amount of money. He wrote checks for $1,000 to the top 10 favorite responses, and the winning result was, "She likes the Beatles, but she loves the Stones." Now, the second example is Wikipedia. And Wikipedia, as most of you know, is an online collaborative encyclopedia. And it's written by an international and mostly anonymous group of volunteers. So anyone with internet access can write and make changes to Wikipedia articles. Since its creation in 2001, Wikipedia has grown into one of the largest reference websites. It attracts around 65 million visitors every month, and also there are more than 75,000 active contributors. They are currently working on over more than 13 million articles, and these are in over 260 languages. So every day, hundreds of thousands of visitors from around the world collectively make tens of thousands of edits and create thousands of new articles to augment the knowledge that's held by the Wikipedia encyclopedia. And the great thing is visitors don't need specialized qualifications to contribute, because Wikipedia's intent is to have articles that cover existing knowledge, not to create new knowledge. And what that means is then people of all ages and cultural and social backgrounds can write Wikipedia articles. So what's really interesting is that Wikipedia has been estimated to be well over 80% accurate, and some experts have rated its accuracy higher than some of the major commercial encyclopedias such as Britannica. So now let's talk about some of the applications or features that Engineera has that can support similar business scenarios. So first of all, we have our application called Intent3, and this is a lightweight project management tool for people in multiple organizations to participate in, track, and complete a project. And this includes a secure shared space for documents, conversations, and other project artifacts. And what I'd mentioned is the key word there is for people in multiple organizations to participate. Some of the feedback that we receive from our customers is that they were having a difficult time communicating things such as project status to their customers, and then collaborating with customers very quickly and efficiently. Because typically what we think of is, when we're using more traditional project management tools, is it's really kind of an internal effort where people within our organization have access to the project materials, but not the customer themselves. Now, another way that we can distribute work or risk is we have the ability to leverage crowdsourcing. Now, in our first intent, I had talked about our Engine idea or idea campaigns, and also our NJAMs, which is an excellent way to leverage crowdsourcing. But in addition to that, we also have this concept of listeners. And what listeners do is it allows you to listen on multiple channels, and it can be based on keywords. We can apply filters. You can apply thresholds or conditions, and it allows you to pull from many different channels such as Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, MSN, Yahoo News, Bing, LinkedIn, and many, many more to come. So our engineering team is constantly creating new channels to listen on. And so what that really allows you to do is aggregate all this information from external sources such as social networking tools, and then make sense of that information and make it actionable. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit about the fact that our platform is considered a cloud-based framework, and what that means and the benefits of that. So first of all, let's talk about Intent3. And as I mentioned, this is a lightweight project management tool, but it's specifically intended to be used not only internally, but also to interact and collaborate with the customers. And so some of the key components are the concept of a group, which has one leader with multiple participants, and the ability to invite and manage memberships. We have an objective, which is a stated objective for the project. The project wiki is a central document with the details of the project, and it's just kind of an open space for project team members to collaborate. We have milestones, which are it's a set of key accomplishments, and this includes descriptions, due dates, and status. And then another layer down is we have tasks, which are assigned to project members. They're associated to milestones, and then they also have descriptions, due dates, and status. We have just an open collaborative space, so that would be the discussions area and the documents area. So discussions would include things like conversations and replies and wikis, and then your documents area is where you can upload different project artifacts and build project libraries. And then also clear, we've got activities, so you can track the activities that are taking place within the project by various project team members. And if you look to the right, the upper right corner, you can see that there's a graphic where you can very easily see the current status based on the milestones and the current status, the due dates, and whether or not these tasks associated with milestones have been completed. So, and one last thing, the Engine Team application is noteworthy in its support of role-based security. What this means is employees are able to access any document, conversation, or project that's normally available to them. But then when a non-employee is invited to a team project, then that individual only has access to the content that is brought within the project space. In addition, conversations, documents, and other content can always be tagged as internal only, and then it could be viewed only by employees, even if it's part of an enterprise team project. So what that means is you can very safely and securely interact with your customers and set this up and configure this to be an inter-enterprise project without worrying that your customers or partners would have access to information that should only be available to your internal resources. Now, our next topic is really about leveraging crowdsourcing and the external knowledge, and as I've mentioned, talking about these listeners. So really the way to think about it is, think about the fact that it's the Wild West of information being blasted at you constantly. And how do you make sense of that? How do you make it useful? How do you make it actionable? And to keep up with information and technology on the web, it would be a 24/7 activity. And most people just don't have the time. So what we can do is we can aggregate this information. We can apply filters and thresholds and conditions to find a wealth of information and deliver it directly to you. And what that does is it allows you to have the benefit of receiving all these must-reads and this pertinent information, and you can stay on top of it with less time and effort. And then what you can do is focus on taking action, whether that be through creating new initiatives, idea campaigns, or strategy sessions, many different things. So that's really the benefit of our collaboration server and this concept of channels. So in addition to our idea campaigns and NJAMs, we've got these channels or listeners listening on different channels, essentially what it is, and you can take advantage of that to leverage all this external knowledge that comes from many different sources. And then finally, we have this concept of being a cloud-based framework. So what is the cloud? The cloud is really just a metaphor for the internet. In cloud computing, what customers do is they typically do not own the physical infrastructure that is hosting the software. So typically when we talk about cloud computing or cloud-based framework, we're thinking about things such as infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, and so most people have heard about various tools that say that they're essentially hosted through the cloud. So what are some of the benefits? First of all, companies can avoid some of the capital expenditures because essentially they're renting usage from a third-party provider. So it saves a lot of money. In addition to that, some of the benefits are low barriers to entry, the shared infrastructure and cost, low management overhead, and immediate access to a broad range of applications. So Engineera, our platform, would be considered a cloud-based framework, and along with some of the big four of cloud computing, such as Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Salesforce, our application is also there being hosted through the cloud.